Remind me what an integer is. Remind me what an integer is. Reggie? Only negatives? Alan? Both positive and negative numbers? Okay, what is an integer not? Decimals and fractions. So it's like the whole numbers and then all their opposites, right? What's the opposite of 12? Negative 12. Good. What's the opposite of negative 62? Positive 62. Good. So negatives and positives are opposite of each other. So the integers are all the numbers that are the whole numbers, and then their opposites, and then it does include 0 down in the middle. So nothing with a decimal, nothing with a fraction. So the good news is we will be dealing with no decimals and no fractions today. Okay? So none of that today. We're going to talk about how to add and subtract real numbers. So again, real numbers, when we're talking about real numbers, what are those real numbers? Integers are some of them. Rationals, whole, and irrational. All right, what's the difference between rational and irrational? Okay, so which one has a pattern? Reggie? Rational. It kind of makes sense, right? So rational is all the numbers pretty much, and then any decimal that repeats. So give me an example of a repeating decimal. Go ahead. 0.22222. That was on your exit ticket the other day, right? So 0.22222 is a rational number. So is 5. Okay? So any number, when you think about rational, ask yourself, does it make sense? Can you predict what's going to happen next? With the number 5, it just stops. All right? What about irrational? It goes on forever, just like the repeating decimal, but it has no pattern. So make up an irrational number for me. Pi is one of them. Give me like a decimal. 5.69723 ... Okay? So there's no pattern there that we can figure out. What about the square root of 18? Is that rational or irrational? Square root of 18. Irrational, Bell, why? If I took the square root of 18, is that going to give me a whole number? Is that a perfect square? What can you, no, because there's nothing you can multiply to give you 18, right? What can you multiply to give you 18? 4 times 4 is 16? Okay, so 4 times 4 would give you 16, so that wouldn't work. Is 18 a perfect square? No, so that means it's irrational. Because if I put it in a calculator, what's the answer going to be? Some long, crazy decimal, right? A little bit bigger than 4, smaller than 5. So probably something like 4.2, something, something, something. Okay? So give me an example of a square root that would be rational. 16. Give me another one. 9. 25. Give me a bigger one. 144. Good. 144. That would be what? 12. Good. So if it gives you a perfect number, a whole number, then that's a rational number. Irrational are all those kind of weird ones that you can't predict, can't figure out what's happening next. All right? So we're going to talk about adding and subtracting with those. Now, look at these two problems. The one in red says 2 plus negative 7. So we have a positive number and a negative number. And I've got 2 plus a negative 7. So what's happening there? What's happening there? 2 plus negative 7. Grab your slides, John Jacob. The slides. Ashley? You're basically subtracting. Why? Yeah, it's like a negative, right? So you're starting at 2, and then you're taking 7 away, basically, because it's what kind of 7? A negative 7. So if you think about it like money, money that you have is positive. Money that you owe somebody would be negative because it's like you already spent it, right? So when you go and you use a credit card, is that putting money into your bank account or taking money out of it? Taking it out. So that's like a negative number, right? If I have $100 in my bank account and I go to, where could I go? Target, oh, I go to Target way too much. So if, well, then I'm going to spend more than 100 because that's what always happens at Target. But if I have $100 in my bank account and I go to Target and I spend 20, that's like a negative 20. So now how much do I have in my bank account? 80. Good, because I've spent that money. Okay, so we can model this on a number line. We're going to talk about how to model it on a number line, then we're going to talk about the rule. If you don't like number lines, you don't have to do this. Okay, if you just would prefer to do it mentally or do it with the rules, that's fine. So let's talk about how to do it though. So this one starts where? At positive 2 or negative 2? So I'm going to go to positive 2, and I'm going to put a dot there because that's where I'm starting. And then how many am I moving? Negative 7, which means which way am I moving? To the left. So I'm going to go 7 spots to the left. Do I count 0? Yes, good. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I ended up where? At negative 5. So 2 plus negative 7 equals negative 5. All right, like Ashley said, it's pretty much like subtracting. It's like doing 2 minus 7. What's the difference with the green one? Okay, we're adding. Where are we starting on our number line? We're starting down here at the negative 3, so I'm going to put my circle right here. And then I'm moving how many? 6 to the right. Good, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And where do I end up? At positive 3. So negative 3 plus 6 is positive 3. Yeah, Reggie.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
I always got confused about this. Like, okay, so you know you said the negative 3 is in front, so when they always have a negative in the front, you're always supposed to add?
Depends, because if the 6 were negative, it depends on if they're both negative, if one of them's negative, and that's what we're going to talk about next. Like, are there some rules I can follow that work all the time? And there are. Okay? So, again, number lines are great if you're a visual person. Sometimes people just like have a mental block on doing this. Like there are students who like, I've learned this 25 times and I still cannot remember the rules for this. So if a number line helps you, by all means draw a number line at the top of whatever your page is and count it out. There's nothing wrong with doing that, okay? If you are a visual learner, it's a great skill or a great tool to have. All right, remember that this is where you start. And then this tells you how many you move, and the sign tells you what direction you move. So negative means you're going to move left. Positive means you're going to move right. Good. But what if I don't want to do that? What if I don't want to draw a number line? It's annoying. I don't want to deal with it. The numbers are too big. Are there some rules that we can come up with that are going to tell us what we could do every time? So take a look at this number, 2 and 7. What was the first thing Ashley said we should do with those numbers? Subtract them. If you subtract 7 and 2, does that give you 5? Yes, it gives you 5. How come it's a negative 5? Because the 7 is the bigger number, and the 7 is what kind of number? Negative. Good. What about down here? Are you adding or subtracting here? So that's where it gets a little bit weird, right? Because it says addition, but 6 and 3, if you add them, that would give you 9. So we're actually doing what here? Subtracting. So let's talk about these rules. All right, so when we are adding real numbers, so if you have the same sign, if both of your numbers are positive or both of them are negative, add. And then always keep the sign of the bigger number. So if your bigger number, like if the number is 12, if that one's positive, it would be positive. If it were negative 12, keep it negative. Okay? If they're different signs, which means that one is negative, one is positive, the order doesn't matter. Then instead of adding, what do? Good. You subtract the two numbers. But you still keep the sign of which one? Good. So that rule is always the same. You're always keeping the sign of the bigger number. All right. Remember that I will post these, so if you don't get them all copied down, if you don't get the rules copied down, they'll be posted on Google Classroom, okay? All right, so basically, take a look at your problem. If they're the same sign, add them. If they're different signs, subtract them. The way that I remember this is different sounds like difference, and difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So that's how I remember to subtract. If the signs are different, find the difference. That's the way that I remember it. Okay, so I'm going to go down just a little bit and look at a couple of examples. So let's say you have, all right, are the signs the same or different? Same. They're the same because 8 and 12 are both what? Negative. So they have the same sign. So then am I going to add or subtract? Add. What's 8 plus 12? 20. And then I'm going to keep the sign of the bigger number, which is negative. So it's going to be negative 20. Okay? So they have the same sign, so I just add them together. What about this? Do they have the same sign or different signs? Different, because 8 is what? Negative, but 12 is positive. So now I'm not going to add, I'm going to subtract. Okay, I'm going to just do the bigger minus the smaller because that makes it easier. So what's 12 minus 8? 4. And then is it going to be positive or negative? Why? Very good. 12 is bigger, so it's going to be a positive 4. All right. Am I going to add or subtract here? Why? They have different signs. The 122 is what kind of number? Positive. How do you know it's positive if there's no sign in front of it? You assume it's positive if it doesn't have a sign, right? And then 40 is what? Negative. So I'm going to do 122 minus 40. I can't do that in my head, so I'm going to write it down. 122 minus 40 gives me 12 minus 4 is 8. So 82, and then is it positive or negative 82? Positive. Okay? It's positive because the 122 is bigger and 122 is positive. Okay? So that rule will work every time. So I ask that question to myself, like, is it the same or is it different? That tells me to add or subtract. And then the second rule is the same every time. Keep the sign of the bigger one. Okay? So no matter how big your numbers are, that rule will work. No matter what the order of the numbers is, those rules will work. So same signs, add, different signs, subtract. Okay, go do some practice. So there's 16 problems out here. I'd like you to complete them all, but I'm going to cut you off in about 8 minutes. So if you don't finish, that's okay. Okay, so the one that was tripping a lot of people up in terms of signs is number 11. So take a look at number 11 here. Do they have the same or different signs? Same, so you're going to add them, which gave you 61. So a lot of people got 61. Which is the bigger number? 33. Is it positive or negative? Negative, so your answer should be negative. Okay, even if both the signs are negative, your answer should still be negative. When do negatives cancel out? Multiplying or dividing. Okay, with adding and subtracting, it just depends on the bigger number. All right. What's different here? If I'm modeling this on a number line, I still am going to start where for the green one? Negative 1. And then I'm going to move which way? Okay, how many times? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so that ends up giving me what? Negative 8. So what did I do with these two numbers to get 8? Added them. Same rule as before, right? Consider the subtraction sign the same as a negative. So they both have what kind of sign? A negative sign. So if the signs are the same, what do? Add them together. Keep the sign of the bigger number. What's the bigger number? 7. So you keep that negative sign. Okay? A lot of times when people learned this, they learned keep, change, flip. Did you guys? Yeah. Yes, some people did that. So keep, change, flip would say negative 1 minus 7 is the same as keep this one. So negative 1. Change to a plus sign. So plus. And then flip this to a negative 7. So negative 1 plus negative 7. Still the same thing. Same signs. So I add, keep the sign of the bigger one. All right? I don't do keep, change, flip because I just consider those to have the same sign in my head. But if you keep, change, flip away. All right? What's going on in the red one? There's two negative signs in a row. So what happens when you have two negative signs in a row? That's when they change to a positive sign. Okay, so really this is like what problem? Plus 9. So now the rules are still the same. Are the signs the same or different? Different, so you should what? Subtract. What's 9 minus 2? And then which is bigger? So 9 is positive, so it's going to be a positive 7. All right, so the only changes you're ever really going to make, the rules stay the same. The only change is that when you have two minus signs in a row, it becomes a positive sign. All right, but the rules still stand. So I'm going to write them again, but you don't need to write them again. Okay, so the rules are same sign, add, different signs, subtract, and then always keep the sign of what? Good, keep the sign of the bigger one. Remember that two minus signs in a row becomes a what? Good, becomes a plus. Okay, so here, 13 minus 21. Is 13 positive or negative? Positive. Is 21 positive or negative? Again, the subtraction sign acts like a negative. They act exactly the same. So the 13 is positive. We can consider the 21 negative. So are the signs the same or different? Different signs. So what am I going to do? Add or subtract? Subtract, which is going to give me what? 8, and it's negative because the 21 is negative and it's bigger. Again, in my head, a subtraction sign and a negative sign are the same thing. But if it helps you to rewrite this as 13 plus negative 21, that's fine too. Okay, like if that's how you've done it before and that's what works for you, go ahead and do it. All right, what would this one look like if I rewrote it? Bless you. Negative 3 plus 12. So are those the same signs or different? So I'm going to add or subtract. Okay, so if I subtract those, that gives me what? Positive or negative 9? Positive 9 because 12 is bigger. Very good. Okay, what's going on here? X minus 22 for x equals negative 11. Yeah, there's just a first step. We're evaluating, so I just have to plug in. So I'm going to plug this in here, and it's going to give me negative 11 minus 22. Same signs or different? Same signs. They both have negatives in front of them, so am I going to add or subtract? Add, which gives me negative 33. 11 plus 22 is 33. 22 is the bigger number. It's got a negative, so I keep it negative. All right? You could rewrite this as negative 11 plus negative 22. Again, if you keep, change, flip, keep it up. All right? I just don't do it. So is subtracting and adding really any different? Not really, right? The rules are still exactly the same. The only thing you need to remember is that two negatives right next to each other make a positive. Good. Okay, when you're doing the practice problems, these don't have parentheses. Keep in mind, sometimes they'll put parentheses around them. If they do, ignore the parentheses. Okay, I would like you to do just the odds. So just this left side. Once you're done, guys, you can erase your boards fully. I've got your checks under control. So once I check off your 8 problems, you can erase your boards all the way and put your socket marker up.